The Gods of Mercy, Re 45. Ri Ent, 7+, the Umbra twins, Vadra and Re were both born entangled with interstellar corridors that they are each able to manipulate in various ways. In the case of Re Umbra, it has been found that she is able to open, close, narrow and widen one end of her wormhole and control its monodirectional aperture with her mind. The location of the far end of her wormhole remains fixed and unknown, though it is clear that it resides within an ocean, as nothing but water comes through the opening. Re is thus able to call upon the force of boundless waters and direct them in numerous and destructive ways, making her one of the more potent elites of the 4th Squadron. On one extreme, Re can open her corridor as wide as her outstretched arms by 3, creating a river-like force where water flows forward for a distance, but is then reabsorbed by the opening, leaving no trace outside of the havoc wreaked. Inversely, she can contract and concentrate the aperture in such a way so as to produce a pressurizing effect that turns the funneled water into a force of potentially oceanic proportions. Nothing stands in her way. Faculty: Ultra-high volume water displacement. Biography: the second-born twin of Ku and Arithman and Umbra, Re has in short time become one of the most feared defenders among the Mersian elite. A prodigy of the entanglement protocol and noted defender of her people, Re has made a name for herself as a frontline titan, combining an ocean of force with a contemptuous attitude and a brutish disposition. Beneath those girlish qualities, Re is a brilliant singer and performer who, unlike her temptress sister, masks her appeal beneath a fog of bad behavior and questionable hygiene. The two completely inverting roles when the performance spotlight comes on. Like their third father Tyche the Protector, both twins display tremendous capacities as elite defenders, though again like their third father both exhibit questionable character while being hard for many to tolerate in most instances. Re is by little the less likely of the twins to be reasoned with or asked for companionship, as her sister does at least maintain an appealing if not seductive visage, and a veiled, if not suspicious concern for what others are going through. Re pretends to like no one, save a warrior or two, and despises her sister's unwillingness to be as nasty as she really is in Re's own opinion. The two girls were born shortly after Tyche was publicly disgraced by the then young Navari, and so grew up not knowing the same reverence or status that their family had been aligned with in previous times. After their father transcended, they would spend the following becoming cycles, teenage years, bouncing between their few remaining family members and the Orphans' Guild of Mercy. Their mother had lost the little control she had over them when their father passed on, and so she decided to relinquish them both from her inadequacies, citing the guild's reputation as a superior system of rearing as her main cause. Among their peers, Vadra and Re would become known as troublemakers, with the older having several incidents involving sexual misconduct and intimidating, while the younger was continually getting into fights in support of her sister's exploits. Being the powerhouse that she is, on one occasion the mighty General Reen was disrupted from a holiday to subdue the young, outraged water goddess who was intoxicated beyond her limit. An occasion that deepened the wariness some elites had with the powerful young sisters, and the first in a string of what would become several Mercy vs. Umbra hearings. As Re would continue to grow in aptitude with her entanglement, she would also begin to develop better interpersonal skills. In large part due to a humbling interaction with General Navari. Re would learn to have just enough decorum to make her a viable asset, while her sister would find herself continually at odds with council rulings. As the two would advance in importance, so too did the moral dilemmas, raised by the pair's ofttimes excessive, and even cruel treatment of supposed adversaries. While it was unclear for quite some time where exactly Lieutenant Vadra had been sending the long list of combatants she'd faced and dismissed, it was quite clear that Lieutenant Re Umbra had very little regard for life not of Mersian blood, and an only slightly higher tolerance for life that was. In the first hearing against the younger twin, a case in which she'd be tried for almost destroying 3 cycles worth of agricultural development and drowning a herd of Myasora, while she was competing with a key guard over wandering space, one recorder scribes, "She's a childish brute, disconnected in such a way that she becomes dangerous to the blood, forsake the power she wields." Along with her sister, Re has become one of 2 prodigal twins that refuse to face what they can escape by way of Vadra's rock, which up until present time has not been located. The two come and go as they please, regardless of council injunctions or even the elite accords which the two of them at a time agreed to be beholden to. The pinnacle of their disruptive behavior occurred when Re, out of anger, initiated an altercation with one of the Zal's primary champions. Bulwarked. A scuffle that both ravaged an area that had been planned to be utilized for Mersian development as well as greatly straining the relationship held with the benefactors that had provided our destitute civilization with a chance to start again within their enormous and bountiful world. While it was true that the bulwark was in an area decreed to have been a Mersian land, re-attacking the Sentinel without provocation was clearly unacceptable when a resolve to the misunderstanding was so easily reachable through dialogue. It was at this point that the two sisters were categorized as wayward and were given the choice to either face the entire elite squadron in battle or face their young squad mate Lieutenant Bree in a 2-on-1 realignment session. The two chose the latter with reluctance, but knew that they had no one against the entire Mersian elite squad, and for the first time they felt the anxiety of potentially being disassociated from their people, a frightening prospect for any Mersian. The session was over in brief time and the two did not at first seem at all affected, but according to the young lieutenant who was unsettled about amending her peers' nature, this was all she would do. She would not make them into new people nor remove their undesirable traits. In fact, all that she said she'd be willing to do was allow them to feel just a little bit more than they had been feeling. Which apparently was all that was needed. The two from then on would remain surly, bitter and difficult, but with just enough empathy to make their admonitions, chastisements and judgments in creative and oftentimes humorous ways. Ree would become a general in time, while her sister eventually left the defenders altogether with plans of moving to Iraq permanently and creating a refuge for the Mersian elite to take holidays in. A vision that belongs to the children, a dream darkened by a still recent past and an uncertain future. Blood of mercy, blood of mercy, blood of mercy.